Hi Dara, danke, dass du heute hier in der Sendung bist, freut mich total. Und dass du dich vor allem dass du mir ein paar Fragen beantworten möchtest. Du hast Hive Alive erfunden. Kannst du mir sagen, was es ist und woraus es besteht und wie das Ganze funktioniert?
Hi, Jan. How's it going? Thanks for the opportunity to talk about this. So, Hive Alive is a liquid feed supplement that's fed to the bees. It's added to the sugar syrup. It's a natural product using mainly seaweed extracts, thymol, and lemongrass. And it's added to the sugar syrup. So it's when the beekeepers feed the sugar in sugar syrup in the autumn or in the spring, you add Hive Alive to it as well. So the ingredients in Hive Alive have been chosen because well, in particular, the seaweed ingredients were chosen because seaweed extracts are now used and seaweeds are used in animal feeds worldwide. When we started off first developing this over 10 years, well, over 13 years ago, the seaweed extracts, seaweeds weren't used that much in animal feeds, but science has come on a long way, and people have figured out how to pull good extracts out and how to really get the great nutrition out of seaweed extracts. So the seaweed extracts are antifungal, antibacterial, they're immune stimulatory, and they're also antiviral to some extent. The thymol and the lemongrass are also, thymol in particular would be antifungal and somewhat antibacterial, and the lemongrass has a little bit of everything in there, but nothing would be as strong as the seaweed extracts. So the way it works is that the bees consume the syrup. When they're consuming the syrup, it's protecting their gut. It's the science has shown that it keeps Nosema levels low in the colony, and the longer that they're eating it, the more they're protected. So we recommend the best time to feed is in the autumn time, and the reason for that is that the bees will be eating it not just when it's being fed, but also they're storing it, which means they're eating it for a longer period of time over the winter time. And in addition to that, when it's being stored in the comb, we know that the ingredients will actually break down cell walls of Nosema spores, chalkbrood spores, and phallobrood spores as well. So it's helping to clean out the hive. And the whole idea of Hive Alive is that the bees do better because the pathogen levels, the disease levels, the stressors in the colonies just aren't there or at a minimum level because they're always around. There's always phallobrood around, there's always chalkbrood, but it's just the numbers are always too generally, hopefully, small. It's only, and the idea is that Hive Alive keeps those numbers smaller and smaller. The bees aren't fighting off disease. The bees are healthy and strong, just like a human. If you take care of a human, it works better. A human works better than if you don't take care of a human. So that's the idea of it.
Ihr arbeitet mit Instituten und Forschern auf der ganzen Welt zusammen, um irgendwie die Wirkung davon transparent zu machen. Und jetzt gab es eine Veröffentlichung im Journal for Application Research und da kam raus, dass es eine 89% höhere Bienenpopulation gab nach einem Jahr, glaube ich, niedrigere Nosema-Werte und ein anderer Versuch in Frankreich hat gezeigt, dass die Völker, die mit Hive Alive gefüttert wurden, mehr Brut und mehr Honig am Ende des Jahres produziert haben. Wie ist das möglich?
So yeah, the trials we ran two big trials in particular. The main one was a Greek trial, which was ran over a year and a half, published by the Journal of Apicultural Research, peer-reviewed, and performed by one of the top beekeeping researchers in Europe. It was done in Greece, and we had 20 control and we had 20 treated colonies. And what basically you saw over time is that the population of the Hive Alive treated, they're fed both exactly the same amount of syrup. The only difference is that the only difference between the colonies is that the syrup that was fed to the Hive Alive group had Hive Alive added to it. And so basically what happens over time, the colonies in the Hive Alive group got stronger and stronger and stronger to the point that it was nearly twice the population of the control group. And such a dramatic change is actually really isn't in our interest because people don't believe us. They think that we're making the numbers up, but we didn't. That's the real numbers. That's what happened. And also consistently, and these were statistically still significant numbers, and also with the Nosema as well. The levels of Nosema got lower and lower relative to the control colonies over time. Again, statistically significant, like about 7 or 8 time points where they're statistically significant, which means it's real. It's not something we're making up or it's ambiguous and we're not sure did it really have an effect. This is a very clear effect that it had. We also had better overwinter survival. There were 0 colony losses with Hive Alive, and I think there was 3 or 4 with the control group. And overall, the bees just did better. We didn't measure honey production, but in a French trial that was run on Hive Alive, we did measure honey production, and the honey production, I think, was about 40% increase over the period of a year compared to control. And also the brood production was increased as well. So Hive Alive really does make an effect. It's not a short-term effect. A lot of people have a hard time understanding that this isn't like, an antibiotic. You put it in, you get rid of your bacterial infection, or there isn't our varroa product where you put it in, you see the varroa mites drop. This is something that keeps the colonies healthy, as opposed to something that immediately fixes a problem in the short term. So sometimes it can be hard for beekeepers understand, why would I spend this money on it? Even though it costs, well less than €1 per colony. And if you think about the economic benefits, if you're selling honey and if you're getting, 40% more honey and it's costing you €1 to do that, it's per colony. That's a big difference. So yeah, we have a lot of science. We also have other smaller trials we've done on like chalk brood, Ascaris to show that basically, and it was actually beekeepers that told us about this, that when they use Hive Alive, they don't get chalk brood, and we validated that through in vitro research, and also through in vitro research we looked at American fowl brood and showed that it also is repressed when using Hive Alive. Now, if someone has a strong case of foul brood in their colony, I don't believe Hive Alive is going to fix that colony. But what it does is it keeps the pathogens level, like I said before, lower in the colony, which stops Hive Alive, or which stops the bees from succumbing to pathogens. That's sort of the summary of the research that we've done on Hive Alive. And it's all there on our website, by the way, as well to see, so you can have a look at it and analyze it and study it.
Also wenn ich das jetzt richtig verstanden habe, ist Hive Alive kein Produkt, was man einfach reinkippt und dann hat man auf einmal wunderbare Brutbretter und gesunde Bienen und so weiter, sondern das ist ein langfristiger Effekt, um die Völker zu stärken. Wir haben jetzt hier die Honigräume quasi schon aufgesetzt. Was heißt denn das jetzt für die praktische Anwendung? Das heißt, ich kann meine Ableger damit füttern und dann Ende des Jahres mische ich das dem Winterfutter hinzu, oder wie kann ich das jetzt benutzen?
As I've already mentioned, Hive Alive isn't a quick fix, but we have done actually I forgot to mention that earlier, we did a short-term trial in a cage trial with bees in Italy, and it showed that it did reduce Nosema levels in the short term, but not by a dramatic amount. As I mentioned earlier, the best time probably to feed is the autumn, but also we find that beekeepers get a lot of benefit feeding it in the springtime as well. We also recommend drenching in the springtime too, or spraying the frames. Ideally do that as early as possible, ideally just before there's any brood. Light spraying or light drenching, we're not talking about drowning the bees here, with a light syrup that has Hive Alive in it. There are studies that show that using Hive Alive, and you can just spray it, will give a varroa drop. It's not a varroa drop by any means, but anything you can do to help keep varroa levels low, especially if you get them obviously early in the spring while they're mainly phoretic on the backs of the bees. then anything you can knock back early in spring is going to make a huge impact as the rollout exponentially rise throughout the summertime. So yeah, a lot of people use them when to strengthen and build up nooks. But the main thing is, I mean, basically, it's easy for me to say, but I would say I wouldn't feed syrup without it. Sugar syrup is a real compromise to the bees. It gets moldy quick. It doesn't have much nutrition in it. It's the wrong pH. There's a bunch of stuff that's wrong with feeding syrup, and I understand we all need to at times feed syrup. But if you can add Hive Alive to the syrup, they're going to do much better.
Ganz viele von meinen Imkerkollegen sagen immer, Jan, hör auf, du guckst einfach zu viel YouTube-Videos. Und ja, mag sein, aber ich interessiere mich tatsächlich für Imkern, auch wie es außerhalb von Deutschland aussieht. Und ich hatte ja die Chance, mich mit Randy Oliver über Pollenersatzfütterung zu unterhalten. Und die Patties, die Randy Oliver verglichen hat, war das beste kommerzielle, also kaufbare Patty, kam von Global. Jetzt habe ich gelesen, dass ihr mit Global irgendwie zusammenarbeitet und ihr kombiniert Hive Alive mit dem Global Patty. Und wenn ja, kannst du uns irgendwie was darüber erzählen und vor allem kommt das Ganze nach Deutschland?
So yeah, we have teamed up with Global Patties to make our own patty. Unfortunately, at the outset, it's only for the US market. The main reason for that is that it's you can't bring pollen across into different countries. There's very strong restrictions on that, so we're not going to do that. So the Global Patties is basically Global Patties. Came out on top of these trials that Randy ran, and that's why we decided to partner. And they've got real pollen. I mean, Randy's right on the money when he talks about. We've been doing work on patties for a while now, and we will also be bringing out a patty. Watch the space in the next 6 to 12 months in Europe, and we've gone on exactly the same route as Randy has been going on for a while. We've been studying the amino acid breakdown of each of the individual ingredients and how to make sure that it's the most balanced, because there's no point in having loads of amino acid if they're all the wrong type, because the bees just can't use it properly. They need to have a balanced amino acid. That's really important. And Global Patties, partially because they have pollen, partially have a good balance of other protein extracts, have a really good amino acid balance. So we were really happy to work with them. So basically what we've done is we've added Hive Alive to patty. And we've also had some other seaweed extract nutrients into there to make it really the best patty available in the US market. We know already that protein patties do really well with Hive Alive in them. In New Zealand, they're really popular. In New Zealand, they're really popular. Eastern Europe, yeah, they're the two main places, and also in Canada as well. They started using last year or two. They started using protein patties with Hive Alive added to it. The bees do better with them, and it enhances their uptake of the patty as well. So yeah, we do hope to have a protein patty available in Europe within the next 6 to 12 months. We've been working on it for the last 2 years now, and yeah, like everything, we want to be the best at what we're doing. So we've taken our time to make sure we have the best quality, the best patty out there. That's what we want, and that's what we will do. We have nearly developed. So stay tuned for that.
Vielen, vielen Dank, Dara. Ich weiß das wirklich zu schätzen, dass du mir die Chance gegeben hast, ein paar Fragen zu Hive Alive zu stellen. Hive Alive kann man auf Amazon kaufen, und wenn ihr irgendwie Fragen oder Erfahrungen oder sowas habt, schreibt es bitte in die Kommentare. Hive Alive liest bestimmt mit und wird sich freuen, Fragen zu beantworten. Und ihr könnt auf Instagram verfolgen, wie ich das benutze und wie ich damit zufrieden bin. Und Dara, vielen, vielen Dank nochmal. Hat mir wirklich Spaß gebracht. Dankeschön.
Really, look, it's great to have the opportunity to speak with beekeepers in Germany. And Jan, thank you very much for doing this, and for I believe you're going to maybe do some translations of this as well, so our subtitles, because I know I talk very fast. So that'd be great if you can do that. Definitely appreciate it. So yeah, I mean, Hive Alive is the number one big feed supplement around the world. It has grown. We've been selling it now for just over 10 years, and it really has grown from strength to strength because of the recommendation of beekeepers to other beekeepers. Beekeepers have tried, take a chance, try it, go, actually, this is really working for me. It's only the last year or two of any sort of significant marketing budget to do anything with Hive Alive. So it really has grown on word of mouth. And we are, I mean, we're fully approved. We're EU approved. Our manufacturing process is EU approved. We work to very high ISO standards. Everything is accredited. It's not a fly-by-night product. It's a quality product with quality data behind it to back it up that it actually does what we say it does. So thanks very much for your time. Really do appreciate it.